Okay, well, we are recording. So what I thought we'd do, I'm Julian Laffey. I'm here with my mother, Catherine Laffey. It is the 18th of November, 2013, and we're just going to discuss a little bit of Parrot family history and Laffey family history.
Yes, we are.
I've got a family tree here in front of us, replete with many family members, dead and alive, and I'm not quite sure where to start. So perhaps, Mum, if we talk about a little about your parents and their families, where they came from growing up in Ballarat.
Well, Edith Mary Parrot was born Edith Mary Hare, and her mother, her surname was Hart, H-A-R-T.
Now, this is your father's mother?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. And they were both born in England. My grandfather was trained as a dentist and worked in the mines in Cornwall, worked with the miners in Cornwall. When he and Edith married, Edith was living with her mother. She was an only child. Her father had abandoned the family and had gone to live in America. And the story was that he was a younger son of the Earl of Leicester. But I've never been able to prove that one way or the other.
And this would have been in the 19th century?
Yes, and her mother, Edith's mother, ran or owned a girls' finishing school in Bath, and Edith was trained under her mother's tutelage, if you like.
Right.
So when Mrs. Hart was abandoned, she had the capacity to open a school, and there were servants, and Edith was taught music, and Edith was a very proficient, she was a concert pianist, and in fact it was she who wrote the anthem that was used, that won the Empire Prize to celebrate the end of the First World War, and there was Dawn of Peace.
Right.
Yep.
This is in England?
Yeah, no, they were in Australia by then.
So how did they come to be in Australia?
Well, Mum always said that he left England for England's good, that he was a remittance man. But I think it was unkind. They migrated. They had a lot of money invested in Malayan mines, and they sailed to the New World, as it were, and they had a small child, Christopher. Christopher was the first child, and he was my father's older brother. But when they got to Malaya, the money had been embezzled, £20,000, which in the...
£20,000?
the turn of the 19th, the 20th century would have been a lot of money.
Fortune.
So they landed in Fitzroy, and they were pretty broke. Anyway, he started to practice, but I don't know whether he practiced there, but he certainly came to Ballarat. Now, a dentist I knew years ago told me that he was mentioned as one of the pioneer dentists in Victoria. And he came here because he knew there was a mining community, and they lived over in Berkeley Street. And I can show you the house, it's just the fire brigade, it's still there. And there were 5 boys and 1 girl in that family. My father was the second child born, and he was said to have been born when they were very much on their uppers. My grandfather had started drinking very heavily. Now, whether he was a drunk or an alcoholic, I don't know.
Right.
That's certainly a real issue.
On their uppers, when you say that,
broke.
things were... Oh, right.
Yeah, things were broke.
Okay.
Broke. My grandmother had no skills in housekeeping. Hers was an academic and a ladies' exactly. And the story was told once that she couldn't cook properly. She couldn't do anything like that. And when somebody brought a rabbit in, it had been shot, and she said, "What do I do? Do I pluck it?" She had no idea what to do. Poor woman. Now,
so where did your father come in the family?
He was the second. So there was Chris, Christopher, then Ernest Reginald, known in the family as Rex, and he was named for his father, who was Ernest Garner. And then there was Mark, Adrian, Gabriel, and Noel. And they're all dead, of course.
So by now the gold rush is over.
Yes.
And the prosperity is waning.
Yes.
In Ballarat.
Yes. Ernest Garner and Chris, but Chris was only a kid, went back to fight for England during the First War. Chris was only about 15, should never have been allowed to go.
How old was Ernest?
Probably in his 40s.
Right.
And he worked as a dentist on Salisbury Plain. And he wasn't there very long. Chris, when he came back, and I don't know what Chris's role was, he joined the Navy, was in the Navy during the Second War. And there are photos, old family photos of him in his uniform. He was actually regarded as a bigamist. He married. Now, I don't know whether there was a divorce in between, but it was sort of one of those hush-hush things. And his first wife, Sylvia, whom the family, the Parrots, all liked very much, she, after the divorce, remarried, and her children took their stepfather's name, and they were called Webb.
Right, W-E-B-B.
Double B. Noel Webb. And I think you would have met one of them at the Parrot reunion that we had years ago.
Okay, that was in 2002.
Yes, because it was just before Zachary's birth.
It was.
Yeah.
Just after the Bali bombings,
Yes.
if I recall correctly. So Ernest grew up with them.
Rex.
Yes.
Yes.
How did he come to be Rex?
I don't know, but he always was.
Excuse me for a minute. Just make sure things are still happening. So, do you know much about how or when he met your mother?
Yes, I do. You know where the Ballarat Secondary School is in Berkeley Street?
Yes.
The old building, the very old building? That was the Ballarat East Municipal Library. And my mother worked there part-time. No, I'm telling a lie. My mother used to visit there. Gay Parrot, my father's sister, she worked there. And Mum and Gay were friends. And it was through Gay that she met Dad.
Right, okay.
Now, during the Depression, things were very hard, and Dad was, as they used the term, on the wallaby. So he and Mark went up into the Wimmera, and they would work from property to property, just getting money to survive, moving on.
Right. This was during their
The
courtship?
Depression, yes. At that stage, Mum was living in a family house in Armstrong Street. Her brother's wife had died in childbirth and left Leo with two small children, a baby a few weeks old and an 18-month older. And Mum moved in to take care of them. So Mum cared for her father, her brother and the two little children, although the baby was actually put out to be nursed by somebody, but they found that he was actually deprived of food and not given the food that she was paying for. Mum worked as the office manager at a firm called Berry Anderson's, which is still around, but was much bigger in her day. And in fact, I can remember when it was a very big shop, and big stationer, had china and lots of things like that.
Was this in Dana Street at the time?
No, it was part of it. The printing works were in Dana Street, but the shop front was in Sturt Street, so straight through from where they are in Dana Street. But it was also another branch over near where Thai Fusion is.
Yes.
So that was another one.
Right, okay.
So she worked there as a manager. She speaks about how hard it was during the Depression because she wanted to be taken seriously as a manager when the travelling salesmen had come in and she could only wear darned gloves, or she had to go around to cracks to meet them, to be buying goods.
Oh, I see,
Yeah,
okay.
things were hard.
Yes, yes.
But she was the only income earner to keep two men and two small children and herself. And
And this is before
they're married.
you... Right, okay,
Yeah.
so
they
long
had
before you were married.
they had a long courtship. And then my dad gave Mum the deposit to buy the house. My mum greatly respected him, but it was mutual. He greatly respected her. They were married in a registry office in Colac, late 38 or early 1939, because the war was coming. They knew that, and Mum wanted to protect Dad. Dad had opened a business down in Main Road, a wrecker's business and a second-hand business, and they were married very quietly there. But they came home to their own separate establishments because Mum didn't regard it as being properly married, and they were later married in the sacristy of St Patrick's, because in those days my father wasn't a Catholic, and if you weren't a Catholic you couldn't be married in front of the altar, which was shocking.
In what sense would them having been married protected him from the war?
Because they weren't caught up married men.
At all?
No, not in the first part of the war, no.
I see. That came later?
Yes.
Right.
And then, so they were married in 1940 by a priest called Father Glowry, and the witness was the sacristan, a man called Frank Kenner at St Pat's.
Right. Good memory for...
I heard it a number of times.
His details,
and
yes.
I was born in April 41.
Okay. What, you tell the story, of course, of the American army marching through town?
Yes. So following Pearl Harbor, the American fleet was dispersed away from Pearl Harbor, and when they came down to Melbourne, the troops were sent inland. But it was not just Melbourne, it was in quite a few centres. And I can't remember them, the photos are there, but there was two things happened. A number of them were billeted with families, and the sergeant would go down, the American sergeant would go from house to house say, would you take a soldier? And my parents took 2 soldiers, and they kept in touch with them for a while. I believe they came from Chicago, but they never heard from them after a bit, and they wondered, they went from here to Okinawa, and whether they were killed. They were just gun fodder, as it were. But there was also a big camp of them up in Victoria Park.
There were many thousands, were there? Some 8,000 or something.
Amazing number.
Yeah.
And of course, as part of the QE, it's all gone now, but part of that was built as a hospital for them, as was part of the Lakeside Psychiatric Hospital, because the railway came up the side of the psych hospital, and they unloaded the wounded into the hospital part of the psych hospital. But see, it wasn't a psych hospital use, it was used as a general hospital.
The wounded?
Yeah.
From where?
I don't know, parts of, I don't know, Pacific, I suppose.
Oh, right, they'd bring them all the way down here?
Yes.
Right.
I suppose they decant them at different stages.
Long way to go if you're a wounded, wounded soldier.
Yes.
Yeah.
But the story was still told. They used to march these soldiers from Victoria Park out to Pax Hill, area out there, the rifle butts. And they came down Sturt Street and along Main Road. And in those days there was a grocer on the corner of Barclay, where the Barclay Hotel is, called Mr. Tideman. My mother always shopped there. We were living in Starkfield Street, sorry, at that stage.
Let's take a break for a minute.
Yeah. With the barred windows going through to Mount Cole.
You've talked about this, so they're heading up through Wendouree.
Yeah.
And you can see them on there.
Yeah, his little kid standing down. Well, he's what? He was what, 30? He'd be 10, Zach's age.
I wonder where the prisoner of war camp was.
Well, we only found out when we were up there, when we had the house at Mount Monarch.
Right.
And I don't know, somebody said to us, that's where the prisoner of war camp was. And Tom said, that's where it makes sense. They would have been where they were going. And they would have probably come from North Africa. So, yeah, they spread them around a long way.
Again, a hell of a long way to go.
Incredible.
To keep prisoners, yeah.
Yep.
Right across the face of the earth. We spent months and months getting there.
You remember Christine Volk? Her father was taken as a prisoner by the Germans, and because he was a farmer, or he was a blockie, But because he understood agriculture, he was put to work on family farms. And every so often he'd ask to be moved. He didn't want to form any ties with them.
Oh, right. Okay.
So he was moved around because apparently they allowed that.
Right.
No fraternising. He didn't want to get friendly with any Germans.
Which you would, I suppose.
Yes.
Inevitably.
Well, of course.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I won't say on this, but there are a number of babies born in Ballarat who had American dads.
Yes.
And nobody ever talked about it.
No.
His dad died in the war.
Okay. Yep. Would you like to keep going at this stage?
Yep.
All right.
Doesn't sound too bad.
Well, we've talked a bit about your dad's family. What about your mum? She was a Dun? Born in 1907?
Yes. Now, I can give a little bit, not to go on dates with that. On her mother's side is the Eureka connection. And there's another connection that oh heavens, what's their names? Can't think of it, isn't it terrible? But one of her grandparents' families came out as an entire family to Ballarat. And
Right.
the parents are buried down at Bunanyong. And I reckon that must have been with the Caroline Chisholm program, because it was she who brought out entire families.
Right.
So that was a really important thing.
So, do they come from Ireland?
Yes.
Yep.
Mum's family's, both sides, her mother's and her father's, straight Irish.
So we've got Michael Dunn and Catherine Murphy.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, Michael Dunn's father was John Dunn, and he was the woodcutter out. He was living out in Enfield.
Oh, yes.
He was
yes.
working out there, and he married, oh heavens, Coleman. Yep, Elizabeth Coleman. And she had come out as a 17-year-old on the Sir Charles Napier ship, and the ship had a whole lot of young women on it, young Irish, because they were broke, they were poor, they couldn't read or write, and they birthed at Geelong, and the woman who ran the pub at Enfield, or Little Hard Hills as it's known, she went down to Geelong to bring in servants, and my great-grandmother was one of those. Anyway, John and Elizabeth married, had, I think it was about 8 children, but he died in a timber felling accident, and she was left out there in the bush with all these little kids.
Right.
My grandfather
No way of easily getting around, of course.
No, but she was the one that she would walk with the baby and maybe an 18-month-old from Enfield across to Bunanyong to meet the priest. In those days, the diocese was huge, and the priest would travel from Ballarat through to Warrnambool and right beyond, and by horseback, and they would know when the priest was due to go through, and it was he who gave them family news, because they kept in touch with the parish priests who could read and write in their own communities, and so the babies would be baptised and they'd hear the family news, and that happened till her own children could read and write. She died just about the end of the First World War. She was a tough old lady.
Right. I believe there's a story from that side of the family of a young man and an axe.
Yes, a 10-year-old.
Who was that?
My grandfather, Mick, Michael Dunn. He was a little man. And he said to his sister, "Put your finger on the block." And she did. And they said it was with a great double-headed axe. And he brought it down and severed the finger. And they got the doctor to him, and Mick took off up the bush, and the doctor said, "Where's Mick?" I said, "He's gone."
I'm not surprised.
I'm not surprised either.
How old was the sister?
Oh, she was about 5 or 6, and
Right.
she died, but not as a result of that.
No.
She later died. I think there were about 10 or 12 children, of whom 8 survived.
Right, okay.
But she
It was
was
probably about par
Yes.
for the time.
At one stage, Mick and Tom were working as miners up at Lady Garad. And
Gold miners.
yes, and a letter came for Tom to join the police force, and the old lady walked from Enfield. Old lady, she's probably younger than I am. But she walked from Enfield to the Ballarat station to meet the train, to tell them not to get off but to go into Melbourne.
From Enfield to the Ballarat station?
Yes.
Which is an immense walk.
Yes.
We wouldn't consider
Yes.
it today.
No. She was a walkie with two little children from Enfield to Butternyong.
This is her brother, his brother Tom.
Yes.
Okay.
And Tom was in the Victoria Police.
So I've got 5 of them here by the look of this. Michael, Tom, Letitia,
Auntie Letty, yes.
Patrick and John.
Yes, now one of those went to live in WA, was never heard of again.
Right.
Letty was a very good cook, and she worked as a cook and housekeeper for wealthy people down in the Western District. And when the mother grew old, she came home to look after Mam, as they called her. And Mam was a very staunch woman. So Mam was living down in Campbell's Crescent. House is still there, and the house next to it was one of the in-laws. And they used to want to come in and play cards. And she said she would never have the devil's cards in her house. So they'd wait till she went to bed. And then when she went to bed, they'd play cards. And the other thing was they had double daylight saving during the war. And she said she'd never have that because it's God's time and you don't fool with it.
Double daylight savings?
2 hours.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
And so they didn't tell her. And she it was the only house in Ballarat that had the correct time. But she was an old woman. So was Letty when she died. There's a photo somewhere of Letty up in St John of God Hospital. And Grace Kelly, you know, the famous actor.
Yes, of course.
Her brother, was it John Kelly? He rowed in the 1956 Olympics at Ballarat, and being a good Catholic, he went to the Catholic hospital. And there's a photo of Letty smiling up at this humongously large American.
Oh, I see. Did you ever meet any of that family?
I met Tom and his wife, Carrie. My grandfather, of course, I knew. He lived with us till he died, in Berkeley Street. And Letty I knew quite well.
Right.
And some of the objects, you know that yellow glass set up in the
Yes,
cupboard?
yes.
Well, that came from Letty's place. And,
Oh, I see.
and it was her grandmother. No, it was her mother who brought that out when she was coming out from Ireland. She brought it with her.
Right. So that's a venerable.
It's something you
Family
probably,
heirloom.
when you're cleaning up things, you might want to think about hanging on to some of those things.
I know that one is special piece.
And there's the brown, quite ugly, but a brown jug, which she bought. It was to be a baptism jug.
Yes.
It's got absolutely no intrinsic value. It's very old.
Yes. What about Catherine? Do you remember her?
No, she was dead long before I was born. She died in the 1930s. She had tuberculosis. My mother was devoted to her, loved her dearly. Mum was the youngest of her family. There was the eldest child was Catherine, spelled with a K, and then there was Francis Leo, my uncle, and then there was a little girl called Doreen who died, and then Mum. And they lived down in Steinfeld Street.
So Francis was Leo.
Yeah, but he was known as Leo in the family.
Then your mum was Mary, known as Marnie.
Mary Francis.
I've got William. What's
No.
that? No.
No, that's not right.
Okay, that's a mistake. And Doreen.
And Doreen, definitely Doreen. Doreen died. No, there was the 4. Catherine, known as Katie, was married to a man called Bill Farger.
Oh, okay. I've
So that
got
might be it.
Catherine is
Yeah, and
I've got
that's-
Catherine as the spouse, not as the child of Michael and Catherine. That's what I've done wrong. Okay, but I can fix that up later. Is there anything you'd like to explore further with your side of the family? suppose being the two of you, yourself and Lawrence, it's not as big a family as Tom's side of the family.
No way. No, it's quite right.
What about James Murphy at Eureka? What can you tell me about him?
He was a pike sharpener. Do you know what a pike is?
Well, is it a metal spike?
Yes, it is.
I'm not sure what it's for, though.
It would be used for gouging holes in the mines, but it was also used as a weapon by the Irish.
I bet it was. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
very effectively. So he was a blacksmith, and he was definitely involved in the Eureka uprising, and he was sharpening pikes.
Mm-hmm.
And when the balloon went up, and Lawler was wounded, lost his arm, and he was taken to the church, which was a tent at St. Alypius, over on the Sacred Heart side, and a priest called Father Smythe was there. And they got Lawler away from Ballarat to Geelong by lowering him out of a number of mines. And the poor man must have been mad with pain.
Mm.
But he went to Geelong because he had a fiancée there, and the Geelong people were very proud of him, and they actually put up money to pay for his defence when Ballarat people wouldn't do it. Now, after Eureka, they all disbanded, as you can, and dispersed. And Murphy and his wife headed off just out of town, and they finished up at Woods Point. Now, I thought they must, for a long time, I thought they must have gone from here to there. But it turns out, after Tom and I were there once, that gold wasn't found at Woods Point till about 1857, 58. It was quite late.
Right.
So what they must have done was they got out of town and they worked on farms and made their way up.
Where's Woods Point?
Near Mount Buffalo, right up that way.
Okay.
So it was a nice, safe place.
Now,
What? Sorry?
would you like to take a quick break? I'm going to go grab my jumper. I'm a bit cold, so... Okay, you'd like to talk about your parents?
Yeah, they were very much products of their time. My father suffered because his parents were unsupported, and my grandfather was either alcoholic or a drunk. His mother couldn't manage things very well. So the boys had very, very shabby educations. They would have probably left school grade 6 or grade 8. Mum would have been the same. Mum came from Irish background, and the idea was you got a basic education and you went out to work. Now, both of them kind of wore it as a badge of honour, but they didn't really mean it. It wasn't, they didn't push education for either my brother or myself, but they would have been better had they had decent education. They were both very smart, but they just didn't have it, and there were no opportunities to pick it up. Once you left, you'd left. So they were very comfortable together, good mates. My father developed, I can't even say, Alzheimer's disease, probably about in his early 50s, and he died when he was about 60, much the same as Lawrence. The pattern's very much the same. Mum never really recovered from that. There was always that sense of betrayal. Mum never flew in an aeroplane, not in a big jet.
Right.
One day I made sure that I took her up arranged for her to have a flight over Ballarat out of the airport. Tom and I took her up.
How did she react to that?
She liked it. She liked it very much.
All right,
But,
yeah.
She was a very quiet woman, but very astute. She read a great deal. She wasn't highbrow at all. She never quite knew what to do about me. I didn't fit into any of her models of how daughters behave. She was the first secretary of St John God Ladies Auxiliary. She had a lot of friends. Afternoon teas were very big. I suppose we do the same thing over coffees and things. She developed Parkinson's disease, which was terrible. And in the early stages it was untreated. And then Patty knew it. Patty Rogers was her doctor and gave us Laradopa, I think it is, or one of those.
L-Dopa.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it worked up to a point, but it was very much in its primitive stage. She died aged 81, so she did pretty well. You would remember her anyway.
Oh, yes,
a little bit.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
My dad died at the QE. They both died in the same place, but his was of dementia, which wasn't very pleasant. They were
Your mum looked after him at home for a while?
Oh yes, yes. Until it became, the whole day became night and night became day, so that she was never off the job with him. She didn't drive. She was dependent on us, Tom and me, to take her where she needed to go. She kept him at home until probably the last 4 or 5 years, and then he had to go into the QE because he didn't know anybody.
How old were you when this started happening?
I can recall I was about 14. My father was 37 when I was born, so I can recall at 14 knowing he was different, and in some respects, I'm not going to say that.
Okay.
Unless I can relate to another person. When you realise your parents are different.
Yes, yeah. You became aware of their limitations.
Yes.
Perhaps your own
And you're
ambitions
embarrassed.
for something different. You wanted
Yes.
a different life for yourself. And Lawrence would have been well on the way to showing proclivities towards being a mechanic and
Yes.
leaving school, being interested in fixing cars, doing that sort of thing. So you were very much the odd one out in your family.
I was, and there was no respect or admiration or affection for fine arts. Mum's idea of reading would be, and she read a lot, but it was always murder mysteries, Agatha Christie's, things like that.
Right. Did you feel deprived of cultural stimulation?
No, but I can remember at about 15 or 16 a yearning to see opera.
Right.
To me that was very important, and I can recall the very first live show I ever saw was called The Shifting Heart, and it was a play, and I was completely, it was Her Majesty's, and I was completely entranced, but profoundly shocked when two women talking over the fence, one of them said, "Christ, me bloody pork will be burned." I thought, oh, such blasphemy!
You were scandalised.
Scandalised.
Yeah.
So I sort of grew into those things, and then as you kind of earned money and things like that. But the great opening for me was your father, because although he had been, his parents weren't highbrow, but he had followed his own dreams. He had joined Musica Viva, and any of the touring shows and things like that he would go to on his own. Yeah, and he taught me.
Right. Oh, no, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
The Tom Laffey I hear about is the motorcycle riding, beer drinking,
yeah, well, he was.
gun toting.
Yeah, he was. He was all those things.
Yeah.
But there was also a man whose profound knowledge of music, and he had heard of the great artists. He used to go to the concerts, and I can recall it was through him that my ears were opened to music, and then we began to explore together. I can recall the very first time I ever heard Beethoven's Emperor Concerto. It was at my place there in Berkeley Street, and I bought a record of it. He would have said to me, "You need to get that," and I did. And I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it. And we both shared a love. He had more refined tastes. He liked Schubert. I'm not that fond of Schubert. He liked Brahms. I think it's Brahms wrapped. Brahms doesn't do it for me. But we both loved Wagner.
And you have a great love of Bach as well.
Yes. And I don't know that he did. But yes, Bach to me. But then I have lived longer and moved on beyond him, if you know what I mean. So yeah. But he was a great reader, a profound reader. So he opened my mind to a lot of things. It was he who said to me, "You need, once evening school started, you need to go and study, and I will babysit while you do it.
And your family would have been less than interested in these sorts of things?
Completely disinterested and mocking, I think I'd have to say.
Right.
Derisive.
Right.
To the point you didn't tell them things.
Yes. Why would you?
Well, there was no point. And as for working and getting into a career, it was completely alien.
You went to Loretto?
I did.
But you studied until?
Grade 8.
Right. What happened then?
Well, there was an expectation that I would do something, and I went and was encouraged to go to the School of Mines, and I did a 2-year shorthand and typing course.
Right.
And my first job was at the Parrot Brewing Company as the office girl.
And a girl you would have been too. You
I
would have
was
been quite young at that stage.
15.
Right. And this was fairly standard procedure for
Yes.
girls.
Some girls, very few girls went on got their intermediate and did things like nursing. As for doing leaving and matriculation, was almost unheard of. Any of the girls at Dawson Street who were going to do that would have been sent to Mary's Mount, and they were going to university, which was like going to the moon, just completely out of my reach. So you either became a nurse or a teacher or an office worker, or you worked in a factory or in coals, and that was not endurable.
No. You worked at the SEC for
Yes, but
a
between
long time.
the brewery and the SEC, I worked at Lakeside for 2 years.
Oh, did you?
As a stenographer, taking medical notes.
Was Tom's father there at that stage?
He would have been, but I didn't know that.
No. Of course.
And that was a shocking experience for me to go down to the closed wards, because I was responsible for taking the records around. And you'd see whole rooms of people standing stark naked to be bathed. It was awful.
So would you accompany the medical staff?
No,
No?
just go off.
Right. Again, you were still very young at the stage?
Oh yes, I would have been about 16, 17.
Right. So it must have been quite a confronting.
Oh, it was
experience.
deeply shocking. You did a couple of things. You saw the normalcy in some of the patients, but then you saw that they were badly treated. Even as a kid, you knew that.
Yeah.
There was about 1,000 up there in my day.
Was it the psychiatric hospital for the whole Western District?
Pretty well, yes. At one stage, there were people decanted from Royal and Mont Park because they were just overflowing and sent to Ballarat.
Right.
No regard for whether you lived here or not. And then I got a job at the SEC, the State Electricity Commission, and I started off there as a shorthand typist, and then I joined the city office as a transferred down there as a comptometrist, and they were the great big ledger machines which predate computers.
Oh, what? A comptometrist?
Comptometrist.
Right. Okay.
And the meter readers would come in because they would physically read all the meters and bring in their dockets. We had to enter everything in very fast.
Okay. So this was an enormous keyboard type
Yes,
thing.
about the size of that, with banks of numbers. I can't remember if they were represented now.
Right.
But you
Okay.
had to enter everything.
Okay. And was Pat Duffy up there with you?
No, Pat was working as a hairdresser around the corner.
Right.
But Dorothy Duffy, her aunt-in-law, worked with me.
Ah.
That's
so
Barry's aunt.
Right. Okay. Is that how you came to meet? Is that any way you came to meet Pat? Or
No, I met Pat. You have to understand, our social life revolved around the Catholic socials. Friday night and Sunday night were the dance nights. And you go along to the novenas at 7 o'clock and they go on to the dance. You went to the novena because you weren't particularly holy, but it was your entree to get out of home.
Yeah.
To do these things. And there was kind of groups of girls that you got to know. The Ballarat North girls were very interesting, and Pat Duffy was one of them.
Right.
So there was Pat and Lois and the Blundells, they were the Blundells. There was a whole group of them, probably about 8 or 9, and I got to know them. And I was about 15, 16, and Pat and I just clicked like that.
Right.
But people do with Pat.
Yep.
You don't realise till later. Everybody does. So I was always pleased to see Pat. Yeah. And she was stunning little redhead.
It's 50 odd years later. You two are still great mates.
Closest friends. Yeah. Not bad. It's a long friendship.
No, not bad at all.
It's longer than 50 years.
Yeah, it's over 50.
Pat's always been there. Was it you or Simon who said she's a harbinger? She was the one that turned up when Tom was laying dying, just after he got into hospital. Somebody told her and she came down. She's the one who comes here when Paul dies. She's the one, she's just there. She's just there. And last Friday she was just there. It was just miraculous. She's a good woman. And then, of course, we lived near each other up in Wendouree, and we spent a lot of time together. Little boys playing together.
Well, Bill, you and Tom had that first house in. Now, don't tell me. I'm going to try and remember. I can't. Ivanhoe Street. Yes. Yep.
Well, they lived over the back in Halbert.
Yep.
And in those days it was just a paddock and a track. Just walk down there.
So Nick would have spent some time there.
Yes.
And Paul a little?
No. Paul was born in the August and we moved to Lion Street in the December.
Right. Okay. So the Lion Street house would have been a big...
huge.
Big step up.
Heavens, we paid $10,500 for that.
It's a king's ransom,
huge.
Isn't it? Yeah.
Twice the size of this when you think about it. It was very big.
It was a big place, yes. Yeah. A huge yard that went right around behind the neighbouring.
It picked up at least 2 backyards.
Yes.
They bought.
Yeah.
The big greystone wall. I don't keep thinking, but from time to time I think, what would have happened if we hadn't sold it? Because I'd be rattling around in it. I mean, this is big enough. So that was good. It's a good place to raise a family.
I've been back in that building. It's psychologists now.
Yes.
It's been split into 2. The front half is the business and the back half is a separate
business
residence.
Again? Oh, is it?
Yes. Yeah. And the things that were the bungalows, I think, have been turned into something as well.
Right.
I didn't get to have a good sticky beak because it's not my place, but
no.
It'd be interesting to go and have a look around.
I've never stepped foot back there.
No.
And once we'd gone, I never regretted it. It was right at the time. It's funny how things turn out right when you look back. And if you've thought it through, you think, yeah, that was right. I'm glad we did that.
Well, you swapped in 1986. You swapped houses with
Jimmy and
Jim
Joe
Reeves. Yes.
Yeah. And the first night, although I'd warned him, Nick went back to the old place. So, Nick.
Which must have been quite a surprise for him when he turned up there. Or for them, at
probably
least.
more for them
than
for him, yeah.
I remember this house was painted some fairly lurid colours too. The lounge room was, up the front was dark blue, very dark blue.
Pink.
What was that?
Pink. The blue
was this room. The kitchen was dark blue.
And it came down like that.
And in Ballarat you don't do dark blue. It's just not.
No. Or vivid, awful pink. And they had black velvet curtains. And they had the ceiling up in the front room was Hessian. And it was and it was sort of bellied. It was just terrible.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Right. It'd probably been that way since 1858.
Yeah, would have been. With the slats and
yes. So Nick was off at uni.
Yep.
When did Sean move out for good? I don't have a firm handle on that.
He was about 16, 17.
So he was here for a while.
Yeah.
My memory doesn't put him here.
No.
It puts him firmly at Lion Street, but not here.
Lay in the back bed with Brad, Rocky.
Well, I used to hop in the bed with him.
Did you?
I remember, yeah. top and tail, yeah.
Do you remember Brad?
Yes, big clown.
You love Brad.
Yeah.
Well, sure.
I remember being allowed to. I was allowed, or no one noticed, but I was climbed around on the roofs out the back at Lion Street.
I think there are photos of you doing that.
Don't know.
I reckon Paul must have taken photos of you doing that. There's a photo of you by a chimney.
Is there?
Yep.
Right. Okay. I liked it up on the roof. Now my own son nags me to get up on the roof. We do it sometimes.
At least he didn't run away on you.
No, I haven't had a runner yet.
It's exciting.
Keep you on your toes.
Oh, you're an adventurous little child.
Yes, I don't know what happened. It didn't propagate into adulthood.
I reckon people wear things out. You do things. You've got to do everything. And if you don't do it as a child, you'll do it as an
You'll do it
adult.
later, yes. So maybe it was a smart play to let me run away.
Uh-huh.
Well, not that you were letting me.
There was no question of letting you.
No.
No. You were just going to do it. The sweetest of children.
I used to run around to Marnie's.
You did.
And again, I don't remember much of Marnie. And I suppose it's because she was ill for so long that my memory of her is mostly in a bed.
Yeah. At the QE?
At the QE.
Yeah.
I have some memories at her place, but not much.
We tried to rig up an intercom system between her house and mine.
Oh.
Yeah. And it kind of worked. So there's a wire sort of running along fence lines, along the grey stone
Jeff
wall.
and Road,
Yeah.
they didn't mind.
They didn't know.
They didn't know? No.
No. And Tom, oh look, I must tell you, it was a really funny thing. Jeff, God, he was a trial, but they respouted the barn, and we were very miffed about that because we depended on that water coming down to water the rhododendrons and camellias that we planted.
Yes.
So what's he doing? He puts this piping along.
Yeah.
So Tom takes his rifle out, doesn't he? He did. He shot holes into it, and Jeff would have been none the wiser. It was wonderful.
He shot holes into
He shot holes into it.
Well, oh. Did no one notice gunshots? Was that not a...
No. He was very anarchic at times, your father, you know. And this was something, it used to fill me with dread and peril and terror, but he still would do it. A couple of holes here and there, you get the water down on your pants again.
Oh, we'll have to tell Zach that. He'll love it.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Oh, no, I hadn't heard that one. I had heard that Tom had a run-in with the police.
Yeah, that was something that was before he knew me.
That is at his mum and dad's place in
That's
Howard
right.
Street.
He had Dougie James's revolver,
A revolver.
and he went out the back and shot it.
Right.
And the neighbours, unsurprisingly, reported it to the police and were presumably able to identify exactly where it came from. So it was all over the Ballarat Courier.
My less than 2-year-old memory has a train line right at the back of that house.
Yeah,
without anything in between. Would that be right?
Pretty right, yeah.
Yeah? Maybe a string of wire or something. Nothing serious.
No.
No.
Your grandmother had a cow there.
Right. Okay.
And during the war, and during the Depression, she milked the cow and she got all the butter and cream and milk
Right.
and gave it to neighbours.
Right. That was the way. The way it
They
was.
told the story of one family came up one day and said, "Where's our milk?" But they had a wonderful vegetable garden. Nobody went down the back there, but you're quite right, you could go straight onto the railway line. I remember the first few times I went there, the train would go past, and their hair on your back of your neck and
Scare
rise.
the hell out of you.
Yes.
Yeah. It's funny, I still remember the smell of that house.
Really?
I remember almost nothing about Nan. I remember a mantelpiece in the lounge room and the smell, and a wire door at the back, and that's all I can recall.
The story's told your grandfather, Laffey, was an irascible old devil. And I was working with, the story wasn't told, I saw it. I worked on a Saturday up at the TAB, making a bit of extra money before we got married, and just near them. And then I'd walk up to the house about 3 o'clock, and Nan always, she was a wonderful cook, but she'd always have a pile of food. We'd have the afternoon tea, and they had a big open fire, and your grandfather was a very thin man, and he always sat with his legs very open in front of the fire, completely dominating, and everybody else sort of had to hang around the outside. And she came in one day, and she caught her foot in the mat, and the thing went shooting. The teapot shot across, and we all thought he was going to get killed. It was terrible. Because we laughed. He was a funny man. He died up in that house, the same as Tom died here. He just simply wasted away. What happened was he had lung condition too, and his would have been from smoking. And I hasten to add, thank goodness mine isn't. There's some sort of virtuous pride in me about that.
You could feel at least it wasn't your fault.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, someone.
No one can say I told you so.
No. So when they say, did you? Well, what had happened was he was frail. He was 81, 82, and the road out the front had been remade, and the dust had simply got him down, and that was what really made him ill.
Yeah.
And he just simply died. Yeah.
What was his personality like? What was he?
Irascible. Just trying to think. You know what Chris Robertson's like when he gets irascible?
Like that?
Yeah.
Right.
And he'll grind on about something. Like I didn't see this, but when Alice's kids were little, they'd go over and stay with Nan. And see, Nan was very humorous and very quiet and very funny and very placid. And
like Tom.
Very like Tom. And Alice was like a father.
Right. Okay.
So you get, but there was an irascibility about him. There wasn't so much in Alice. And the story is told that he'd be waiting for the time signal on the radio at 7 o'clock, and the kids would go into uproar, and of course he'd lose it. Yeah, because the whole 24 hours then had to go by before he could get the next 7 p.m.
Oh, right.
If it wasn't 7 p.m, it didn't count.
It was, what, a series of beeps or something?
Yeah, you know how they
The
get
chime.
beep, beep, beep before
Yep.
the news.
Yep.
It had to be 7 o'clock, and that clock was adjusted. And of course the kid, and he used to give us lots of, anybody, big bags of fruit and vegetables and eggs because they had chooks there, and he'd say, don't drop those eggs every time. And Tom would be sort of going, he's done it again. And Tom had this series of old bombs, and they wouldn't go. And he'd be trying to get them going, and old Tom, who wouldn't know how to drive a car, would be standing out there giving advice. And Tom would be so patient.
Did they not drive, the parents?
Neither of them.
So how do you get around? What did they do?
Public transport. When the trams were there, they'd walk around to Injury Parade and catch the tram.
Catch the tram?
Yep.
Right.
And then the bus.
Okay.
First time I met my father-in-law, I nearly knocked him over. I was working at the SEC, and he came in to pay the bill, and I came flying downstairs, flung the door open, and nearly knocked him down. And I said, whoa!
Right.
But I don't think I was even going with Tom at that stage. They said, you got to be careful, that's old Mr. Laffey.
Right, grumpy old man Laffey. Yeah. So when you met Tom, Alice, of course, you would have met.
I met Alice before I met his family. Anybody else?
Yes.
I didn't meet his parents till the night before our engagement was announced in the paper. So,
Right. Was he hiding them or hiding you?
well, I'm never quite sure who was being hidden.
From whom? Yes. All right. What about Tom's older sisters? They were living away.
Yeah, they were all in Melbourne.
Yep.
Oh no, Lena was over in Kilmore.
Kilmore.
Yeah, I met them in that year between. At that stage, Molly was taking care of her aunt, her mother's sister, down in Kew, and she was a bitter, savage woman. Oh, I never liked Molly.
Was she?
Didn't like Molly at all.
I have to say I don't remember any of them.
No. Lena, nothing like Carmel. Perhaps a bit of Trish. She was airy-fairy, Lena. She was away with the fairies
Right.
half the time. Very nice woman. But the pick of them was always Lucy. Lucy
Right.
was lovely. I liked Lucy very
Okay.
much.
Was Lucy like any of her children?
Probably, yeah, there's a lot of Julie. Lucy and Julie.
Right.
Because the poor maid, Kerry, I shouldn't say that in the paper, the dear Kerry Larkin, she's away with the fairies a fair bit of the time.
Okay.
Kind woman, though, good woman.
We'll edit that out. We can edit that out.
Better edit that out,
Yeah.
yeah. Alice and Molly were close. Yeah, they had a lot to do with each other, especially after they were both widowed. But they would fight too. They'd fight like mad. They were interesting. They'd all talk. The four of them together were just talking machines. It was just amazing.
Oh, I can imagine.
Yeah.
I mean, you've seen Alice with a glass of red wine.
Yeah,
Multiply that by 4.
Exactly.
You wouldn't get a word in edgewise.
Yeah. And Molly always drank brandy and dry.
Right.
You've met Anne Fanning. Anne.
Yes, yes.
Well, that's
yes,
her
yes.
mother. And
Yep.
she is nothing like her mother. Absolutely nothing like her.
Right. Okay.
Because Anne's a very sweet-natured person. Molly wasn't.
There's, of course, an extensive family on that side. Many grandchildren, great-grandchildren.
Big. Well, all of Anne Fanning's grandchildren are girls, all 7, all girls,
Right.
with ears. So nice to have ears, I think.
So if we talk about Tom's parents, old Tom and Mary, were they had come from the Ballarat area?
Bald Hills,
Bald
Creswick,
Hills
yeah.
for Tom. And what about
And
Mary?
went to both of them.
Right.
Mary lived out there too.
Mary, of course, was his second wife.
Yes.
What about Veronica?
Veronica. I don't know where Veronica came from. She must have been out there too. Because Veronica and old Tom had a farm on Hollowback, except they always pronounce it Hollowback. You have to, it's like Essendon. And the babies, the girls, and they were born, bang, 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 were born in Beswick. And Mary Miller, your grandmother, was well known. They all knew each other, they all socialised. And she was at home at that stage. Because for a while Mary worked away down at Rosewood Junction as a cook
Right.
when they were putting the railway through.
Had she been married before?
No.
No.
And her mother had died when she was quite young, and the father, David Stewart Miller, he virtually raised those kids, and he gave the youngest one to, oh heavens, it's not terrible, I lost his name, to a cousin to raise, because he was only a baby when his mother died. He was only about 10 months old.
Yeah.
And Anne died. She was Anne Stewart, he was David Miller. And then Mary house kept for her father and a couple of unmarried brothers. And then she drove Veronica Laffey into hospital, and when she went into labour in the horse and buggy, and she said, Mary, you should be having your own babies. And she never came out.
She died in childbirth?
Yep.
With Lucy?
With the baby. No, with the baby.
Oh, the baby died as well?
Little boy.
Oh, I see.
So Tom has actually an older brother.
Yeah.
Which it wasn't until comparatively recent that I thought of it like that. You think of it as his father's first wife's baby boy, but it was Tom's half-brother. So then the 3 little girls were separated, given to different relations.
So separated from each other?
Yep.
Right.
And
Which must have been terribly hard.
oh, dreadful. And Mary and Tom were married at 7 years later, and Mary wasn't a Catholic, and old Tom's sister, Molly, a very old Tartar, remember her quite well. Mary, your grandmother, wanted to take the three girls, and she wouldn't let her because she's not a Catholic. Mary turned Catholic. She converted to be a Catholic.
Right.
And the kids, when they were allowed, they loved to come to her, but they had pretty hard childhoods, very hard childhoods, the three girls.
Yeah. Yeah. So did you get along with them? With Mary and Tom?
Oh yes, they thought I was wonderful because they didn't know what they were going to do with their body, lad. And there was a myth that Tom's marrying into money, which I think was perpetrated and perpetuated by the bad boys of the SEC, who'd say things like, "Laffey, you're okay there's plenty of money there." So that was one of his first disillusionments.
But he persevered nonetheless.
There was a time where your grandfather, Laffey, wasn't going to come to the wedding. It was sort of a great hubbub because Elsa said to him, "You're going to have to get a suit." Getting a bloody suit, he'd say. And, well, you should say you can't go to the wedding. And I'm saying...
So he wouldn't have owned one?
No. He would have had a sports jacket, which was common for men, sports jacket, grey trousers, shirt and tie.
Yep.
But I think they got him into a suit.
Right. Against his will. I've seen photos of him in braces too. Or was that when he was old and thin?
No, it was... I never knew, but it was old.
And a hat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a long face.
So I never really got a good look at his face because quite often in the photos he's got the hat on.
Yeah.
Perhaps he hid behind it.
I was trying to think. None of you look like him. That is a good thing. Known as Buck Laffey.
Do you know where Buck came from?
No.
Or Rex or Marnie or any of those? We don't know.
No, Marnie, Mum chose that when Tom came into the family because she wasn't going to have him calling her Mary. No, indeed.
I see.
What he wanted to be called.
Right.
And she said Marnie, and that's why the grandchildren called her Marnie too.
Yes.
We're all a bit cranky about names. I shouldn't laugh about that because I'm just a cranky.
Well, no, you're Big Katie, of course.
I know.
Yeah.
They've dropped the big. They don't call me
Some time ago.
Yeah.
But you're Katie. But you're even Katie to
I know.
other children.
I know.
Outside the family. Just entirely by
It's kind
accident.
of like a noun, isn't it? I've got a Katie.
But no other adult would dare call you Katie.
No.
No.
Not if they wanted to be taken home safe.
In one piece.
Yeah. It was a very secure, very boring childhood. I can recall being very bored. Longing for something I didn't know what it was.
Quite stable though, by the sound.
Oh, very stable.
Predictable.
Very predictable.
Safe.
Yep. Yes. They didn't socialise much. Mum had her women friends, but they were content to themselves. Occasionally Mark and Lil would come around to play cards. They didn't do much.
What was your father's profession?
Well, second-hand dealer and a house wrecker. And you've got to remember, after the war, and even during the Depression, there wasn't very much, weren't very many materials around for building. So a house wrecked was a really important thing to have. There wasn't very much of anything because until the end of the First War, most products were imported from England. Manufacturing really didn't start here till after the First War. Everything like brown paper and string was brought in from England. Yeah.
Right.
We were sort of a farming community. So when the Second War came, building supplies were just non-existent. So Dad, he made quite a lot of money that way. It'd have been better if he'd stayed with that. He had a whole lot of property too.
Oh, yes.
Down in the main road and then, of course, along Geelong Road. And then he branched out into farming. Well, he knew absolutely nothing about it. Jersey cattle milking. And he bought the cattle, Jersey cattle, because the orphanage had a milk farm.
Right.
They had crazy stuff. But anyway.
Did you ever live out on the farm?
No.
When did this take place? When did this happen?
The Korean War, when was that?
50, yeah.
Yeah. Well, he had farms. He had the 3 farms at that stage.
Right.
Because I can remember being in bed sick and Mum being very excited because the wool had sold for 500 pence a pound, which was huge. But because the Korean War was on, wool brought an enormous price.
Right.
So if you regard 240 pence made a pound, which I don't know what that would be the equivalent now, it's a lot of money.
So you were living in Berkeley Street?
No, we were living in
Steinfeld
Street, and then they built up in Berkeley Street. So yeah.
And he'd go out and work
Yes.
the farm?
Yes.
Was he working alone out there, or did he have...
Basically, occasionally he'd get somebody to help him. Lawrence would go out. I didn't like it. Mum didn't like it. I reckon, I never knew, but I reckon Mum would have said, I'm not going out there. So he did in the town, he went in and out.
Yep. Yep.
He also sold wood, cut wood from Navigator, the big one of bush, and sold wood. Hard work. But he was always the bridesmaid, never the bride dad. Never cracked it. And that's because he didn't have the education and the confidence to do clever things.
Did he have a store at one stage, a second-hand store in
Main Road?
Main Road?
We had a big place. Where Inland Motorworks is now. A very
on the
big
corner
shop.
there? Right.
But then he owned land going further down. I can remember great wool bales being stored at Steinfeld Street, down in the shed.
Yeah.
Like two levels high, and playing on them and getting roared at because if they fell, I bet you could see.
Yeah.
I would be a worry.
Yes.
I can also remember he got a load of gravel. All these things was in such short supply, and one happy afternoon, and was dropped at the front place, and he wanted to do the driveway, and I got out and raked it all flat. There's no picking it up.
Oh, what was supposed to happen with it? It was going to be moved elsewhere?
It was going to be taken in and put on the driveway in the house,
Oh.
and I just flattened it all up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, as you do.
Remember why you flattened it all out?
Oh,
Just
it
for
was
amusement?
there. Great fun.
Right. Okay. Did a copper walloping for that?
No, I was never slapped.
No.
Never smacked.
What about Tom? My father, Tom?
No.
No?
No.
Okay.
No. I'm sure there are families where beatings did take place. I can only recall one where I knew the child was beaten quite a lot. But basically, no.
What about Tom St. Pat's experience? Did he ever talk about
Oh, he loved it.
that?
Yeah, because he was one of the prefects there.
Yeah.
And so he went there from a quite young age. He started school at Howard Street Primary School. No, I think he might have started a few weeks or months at Bald Hills, and then came into the Howard Street, and then went to St. Pat's. So from probably grade 3 right through. When he left, he might still very well hold the record, being the longest, the person who spent the longest time at
Really?
St. Pat's, yeah.
Right.
And he wasn't a head prefect, but he was a prefect. He was a rower.
We could go up one day and look for photos. Yeah.
They'd be there.
Yeah.
And then he was apprenticed to Monaghan, the chemist, and the idea was that in those days people apprenticed either to chemists or to teachers and did their training kind of on the job. He should have been going to Melbourne for training, but then he was in a very, very bad accident, and that was the end of it.
He was on his motorcycle going around Windermere Parade.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he had a lot of alcohol in him. He was home from the army one night, on Monday nights, and they'd go into the mess and they'd drink far more than he should have.
Yep.
And he came off Viewpoint, hit the rocks.
He was out of action for
Months.
a long time.
Broke his leg, broke part of something in his back, one of the vertebrae, and his leg was just getting better, and he slipped and broke it again.
Oh, no.
So he had months of it.
Oh,
he
I
had
didn't know that.
sort of a kind of a twisted leg.
Well, he had a funny walk too the whole time I knew him. Sort of
Yeah.
a limp with a up and an over. Terrible legs too. I've got them too. You never wear a pair of shorts.
No.
Just the
No.
most unattractive utilitarian
Absolutely.
things you've ever seen.
I used to object to him wearing shorts around the house, but the idea of getting out in walk shorts with long socks did nothing for me, and I forbade it. Do not do that.
He was a man too who favoured the sandal,
Oh, yes.
even when circumstances called for more sturdy footwear.
Yes. Sandals.
There was a memorable incident out of Mount Lonnock where he was using the mattock with sandals,
Yes.
which was relayed to me over the road by Chris Cocking as your father has cut his foot off with an axe.
Oh, my godfather. Oh.
But that wasn't
I'm
quite.
trying to think how Chris would have known.
I think it had been through a few rounds of Chinese whispers by the time it got to me.
And that was the time where we drove him into the hospital. And I think it was after that that I thought you needed to learn to drive the car. And there was the time out there that he put, it must have been the mattock, through the water pipe from the tank to the house.
Oh, no.
And he jumped up and down. Well, he kept quiet. He's going to do it 3 times. And he literally jumped up and down like a piston. And all I could do was that, exactly that. And it was so funny and incongruous. All I could do was laugh. The second time was when the graffiti, whoever did the graffiti on the little Volvo with the
little blue Volvo. Yeah.
He jumped up and down that day. And the first night, I got defeated. The night I was first defeated at council, and Les Dickinson made some remark, and he jumped up and down, and I had to hold him because I thought he was going to slap him. He's going to hit him. But they were the only times, because he's a very amiable man.
Oh, yes, very slow to anger. I don't think I ever saw him angry. I didn't see him with the mattock either, so he wasn't around at the right time. Is there anyone else? I mean, there's a lot of family tree there to get through. There's a lot of people involved. Is there anyone else you'd like to talk about tonight?
No, not now. I think I'd like to let it sit for a little bit.
I think that's a good idea.
And sort of think about it.
Yep. Done.
It's really hard to get the information you want from before Australia. You can't go back to Ireland to get it all. It's just too hard. Or to England.
Well, not without a tremendous effort anyway. And expense.